What happens when the most powerful empire on Earth conquers the most advanced civilization of its time? When nomadic warriors from the Pei seize control of a vast, sophisticated empire built on centuries of tradition, culture, and bureaucracy? In the 13th century, this is exactly what happened. The Mongols, once feared as unstoppable conquerors, did what no foreign power had ever done before. They took China, and they ruled it. But here's the mystery. If the Mongols were powerful enough to conquer China, why couldn't they keep it? How did the Mongols rise from tribal warriors to emperors of China? And what caused their rule to collapse in less than a century? To understand that, we must begin with the force that made it all possible. The story begins with Genghis Khan, who unified the Mongol tribes and transformed them into one of the most formidable military forces in history, combining mobility, discipline, and innovative tactics that allowed them to defeat much larger and more established armies. The Mongol army relied on speed, coordination, and psychological warfare, using mounted archers, feigned retreats, and intelligence networks to outmaneuver their enemies across vast distances. By the early 13th century, the Mongols had expanded far beyond the Pei, creating an empire that stretched across Asia, setting the stage for their eventual conquest of China. The conquest of China was not a single event, but a prolonged and complex campaign that involved defeating multiple states, including the powerful Jin Dynasty in the north and the Song Dynasty in the south. Under the leadership of Kublai Khan, the Mongols adapted their strategies, incorporating siege warfare, naval power, and Chinese engineers to overcome fortified cities and advanced defenses. In 1279, after decades of conflict, the Mongols achieved full control over China, establishing the Yuan Dynasty and marking the first time all of China was ruled by a foreign empire. Once in power, Kublai Khan faced a new challenge: not how to conquer China, but how to govern it. He adopted many elements of Chinese administration, including bureaucracy and taxation systems, while also maintaining Mongol traditions and privileges, creating a dual system that blended foreign rule with local governance. The capital was established at Dadu, modern-day Beijing, and the empire became a center of trade, culture, and international exchange, connecting China to the wider Mongol world. At its peak, the Yuan Dynasty was one of the most powerful states on Earth. However, Mongol rule was built on a strict social hierarchy that placed Mongols at the top, followed by other non-Chinese groups, while ethnic Han Chinese were placed at the bottom of the system. This structure limited opportunities for the majority of the population, restricting access to government positions and creating deep resentment among local elites and common people alike. While the system helped the Mongols maintain control, it also prevented full integration, creating a society divided along ethnic and political lines. And division, over time, weakened stability. Despite its early success, the Yuan Dynasty faced significant economic and administrative difficulties, including heavy taxation, inflation caused by overuse of paper currency, and corruption within the government. Large-scale projects and military campaigns placed additional strain on resources, while natural disasters such as floods and famines further destabilized the population. The centralized system struggled to manage such a vast and diverse empire, revealing the limits of Mongol governance in a complex agrarian society like China. As conditions worsened, resistance began to grow, with secret societies and local movements organizing against Mongol rule. One of the most significant uprisings was the Red Turban Rebellion, which drew support from peasants, religious groups, and disaffected elites who sought to restore native Chinese rule. These movements gained strength over time, exploiting the weaknesses of the Yuan government and gradually eroding its control over key regions. The empire that had once expanded rapidly now faced threats from within. By the mid-14th century, the Yuan dynasty was in decline, weakened by internal conflict, economic instability, and widespread rebellion. In 1368, rebel forces led by Zhu Yuanzhang captured the capital and established the Ming dynasty, marking the end of Mongol rule in China. The remaining Mongol rulers retreated north, and China returned to native governance after nearly a century of foreign control. The fall of the Mongol dynasty in China was not caused by a single event, but by a combination of factors, including social division, economic mismanagement, administrative challenges, and the inability to fully integrate with the population they ruled. While the Mongols were unmatched conquerors, ruling a complex civilization required different skills, adaptation, inclusion, and sustainable governance. Their failure highlights a critical lesson in history. Conquering an empire is one challenge. Keeping it is another. The story of the Yuan Dynasty reveals the limits of military power and the importance of legitimacy, stability, and governance in maintaining control over a vast empire. It shows that even the most powerful conquerors cannot rely on force alone to sustain their rule. So, when we look at the rise and fall of the Mongols in China, we must ask, was their greatest achievement conquering China, or proving just how difficult it is to rule it?